interested in your philosophy on discipline. Something for me that's always been a challenge is feeling guilty when I don't stick to the discipline of whether it was 2,000 words a day or an hour a day or 10 words a day or making sure I read a paragraph a day of a book. I've always struggled with this very kind of American, almost disease, I would argue, to be productive or to be constantly thinking about how we can better ourselves versus just allowing for the life to come. And when I feel like reading, I read. And when I feel like writing, I write. And to not have this constant voice in my head saying, you didn't write enough today, or you're not going to write enough tomorrow, therefore you haven't succeeded. Because there are a lot of artists that do really say there's one rule, and it's the discipline. You write every day. You wake up at 7 every day. I'm interested in your experience with both friends who are artists as well as your own life.
I respect people who have those disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
I am practically in awe of people who have those disciplines. I have to confess that I am just not constructed that way.
Right.
I sort of think that either you're a tidy person and an organized person, or you're not. I don't know that a person can do all that much about it. I have been able to make things only when I found it absolutely necessary.
Right.
You know, that I felt under some compulsion, some absolute kind of unrelieved obsession to see something come about.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the case of memorizing lines as an actor, you know, terror is highly motivating.
Right.
So that's been
You
something.
got one day left to memorize.
Yeah, but here is a way to answer your question that I think would be able to cast some value on the undisciplined life, which, you know, I have spent a deal of energy in 70 years feeling guilty about. I think guilt for a unreconstructed, although lapsed Presbyterian is ambient and saturating in any way that your brain can find a morsel of, you know, of guilt to
ambient and saturating. That's a good way to put it.
It will find it, and so I have started trying to cultivate a sensibility in these years of my life that says that my primary responsibility is not to be miserable. That would be the greatest crime against life.
Wow.
Is to be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not be miserable. And the thing that would make me most miserable is to feel worthless and to feel unproductive. These are big threats to me. These are my boogeymen.
Yeah.
And so I make a great victory of paying great attention to the morning light as it occurs out the window beside my bed.
Right.
And that really sometimes is enough.
Mm-hmm. Even when you have errands to run, if you have that morning light.
Yeah.
2 drives, is it enough for 2 drives out to town?
That I have to really, really want to do at least one of those things.
That better be a nice sunlight coming into the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I think that unnecessary misery is the sin that I talk to myself most about, not guilt over, you know, failing to make another figure, or God help me clean up my house.
Sure. Well, it's, I mean, of course, the paradox being we come from a people, the United States, that is so wrapped up in guilt and this idea
terrible.
of sin. And,
just terrible.
Yeah. For me, that's something I've noticed. I mean, the French have their own issues with guilt. It's still a Catholic country, of course, but the Americans' version of guilt.
The French are so much more successfully sensual people.
Mm.
And we have to really teach ourselves that in this country
Mhm.
because we are not taught that, or at least my generation was not taught that. I think we did a much better job with your generation.
I'm very thankful for that. Yes.
The dedication to sensuality.
Yeah.
Food is one avenue.
True, especially in the South. I mean, that's one of the. When I think of the South, I often think of the great meals and the ceremonies around those meals, which are also sensual in one respect or another.
And they have so much to do with memory.
Yeah.
They're liturgical in that way.
Okay.
And a better church, you know,
Yeah.
than most. So I never cook anything without it bringing to mind
Something from the
other
past.
people that I have
Beautiful.
learned this from or shared this with or want to tell it to.
So to continue with that, the question of sensuality and